Okay, so I'm gonna teach the basics of a perspective walk, and you can probably figure out how to do it from there. But I can, if you need help specifically with your scene, like I know how to do it. I was trying to do it just now, but I just make really stupid, careless mistakes. So I feel like I shouldn't use a tutorial off of that. I should just give you like a proper tutorial on how to do a perspective walk without all of my stupid mistakes. I'll do just a really simple one so that you can understand it like really concisely. Um, gonna make a character. Gonna make this guy. This is my character. And I want him to walk. I want him to be. Wow, I want him to be this big at the end of it. Okay. So, what we're gonna do is we're gonna start making our guides. And how we're gonna do that. Also, the perspective works better the bigger the character is. I don't know, this is, I guess, so depending on how realistic or non-realistic you want your scene to be, then the scaling will matter. But I would say, I have some recommendations for your scene, but you'll probably have to like ask me later, because I want to go for a run in a bit. So imagine we have some lampposts. Okay, in perspective, they would look like this, right? And if I put a lamppost right in the middle, where would that lamppost go? The simple answer to that question is, well, maybe I can guesstimate where that lamppost should go. I think he should go like this. This is my guess. But the reality of that guess, let's just copy this scenario so that you can see what the accurate drawing should look like. The reality of that guess is that that's not quite as accurate as you might think it is, because the way that perspective is that things that are far appear small, things that are near appear big, but the way that they scale up isn't straightforward. So the best way to tell how big or small the lamppost would be is actually to draw this thing called an X-guide. And boom, the lamp should actually be here, in this spot here. Which is weird to think about. But I've essentially, what I've done here, in this example here, what I've done is I've essentially drawn a lamp somewhere like here, in actual perspective. But the correct way would be to draw an X-guide and to see, oh, okay, it's directly in the middle, so it's actually here. So the same thing applies for the perspective walk. What we're going to do is, we're going to start with a black line that indicates how tall the character is. We'll end with a black line of how tall the character is at the end. And we're going to connect these two things so we know exactly how the scaling is going to be. And yeah, every time I draw a line, it's going to be one step. So the reality of a perspective walk is that you could actually just, if I really wanted to, I could just have one step. I could just have him do one step and he would make it to the end, but that would be a humongous step. It would be like so warped. Think about like 0.65 camera. This is probably what it would look like if I just chose to do this one step. So to make it more believable, we're going to add more steps. And how we go about doing that is, excuse me, let me just tidy this up a bit. How we go about doing that is with the X-guide. So we're going to make a new layer called X-guide. And I'm going to plot the number of steps that I want my fish to take before he reaches the end. So let's start with our first step. I'm going to draw an X here. and then we're gonna draw a line down here. That's one step, and I think I'll do it again. So now we've got, imagine the lamp again. Let me just make this the same color so it's easier to see what I'm talking about. Let's say the lamp is red. And imagine I want another step. I can't forget that it has to be equal on all sides to make the perspective work. So we've got to do it twice. 1x here, 1x here, and then so we could be done like this, but you see that this last step again is still really warped. Like now if we were still counting this as steps, it would still be kind of warped. Like this last step is a really big one still. So we can go crazier with this. We can make even more steps, especially because this is a really huge perspective change. So generally, if it's a very big perspective change, you kind of want to pad it out with more steps. So we're gonna make the intermediary steps now in blue. Every time I'm doing a different color, so that's much easier to see. But that's entirely up to you. Let's do this. Don't forget that it needs like these intermediary stuff as well. It's very easy to forget, especially when it gets very tight. But it is very important for the illusion of perspective. Okay. Okay. I'll say I'm done here. I could go more to make it more realistic, but let's just leave it as it is, like this, so that I can move on and actually start doing the walk. So now I'm just gonna make a top and a bottom layer. So let's start. Having this lamp guide is also really helpful. It's 4 blue, 2 green, 1 red, so helps me to understand. Make sure I'm not missing anything out. 4 blue. Why is there only 3? Oh, there we go. 4 blue, 2 green, 1 red, and then the black ones as well, the 2 black ones at the end. Now we can start our walk. Okay. So, I'm gonna start with our walk now. Sorry, let me just start from fresh. Okay, we'll start with our very first step, and we're just gonna do the contacts so that it's easy for you to understand. But you know, you just have to imagine that there will be a passing pose, a down pose, and up pose, even in these small steps. So start with the contact. What can help you as well is like scaling the guide of the characters. So like as you can see, I have them right here, but I could do this at every point. Like I could so you have an idea of how big they roughly get and what the proportion of that is like. I haven't done the top for the green and red lines, I realize, so let me just quickly do that. Okay, what was I? I'm scaling them to how big they are in each step they take so that it's easy for me to understand. But you don't have to do this. Honestly, I don't have to do this. I'm pretty okay with it. And it's a very simple design. But maybe for something more complicated, you might want it. Let's see, blue, green. Oh, this is blue. Just make sure you don't get confused. Now we're at blue again. Now we're at red. Okay, well, basically, I'm saying you can scale it up if you want to. I'm not gonna do that, I don't think. Not for everything. Okay, so now he's going for the blue step. And the next step is the green step, if you remember my X guides here. So black, blue, green, blue, red, blue, green, blue, black. Okay, cool. Blue step. And now we're gonna move on to the green step. So remember his contact? Since he's walking, his feet are not gonna be shifting, or like his left leg here is gonna stay on that blue step. And his body now is gonna be somewhere in the middle between this black and green step, I would say maybe here. This is also why having the scaling at the side might be helpful, because it can give you an idea of like how big the character is getting, but for the sake of the tutorial, I will avoid it. Okay. And then we'll just repeat that until we get to the end. So now, green. Also, you can see that I'm kind of changing his path, like he's not walking in a straight line. You could have him walk along the guide that you make, but what I like to do is, since I have the top and bottom, I kind of did this in my head, but I should have done this out so you can see it. I've made a path that I expect, a trajectory that I expect him to walk in, so that I can see, like, maybe I'll do this actually. So that I can see, yeah, so that it's more dynamic, and this might help you with your stairs as well. So, okay, this is the next step. Then the next step. Where are we? Blue. We're at blue. Let's follow this blue guide I made. Useful. This guide is super useful. Okay, then we're gonna continue that. I'm just trying to follow the footfall of... I keep forgetting. He should be in between... His body should be in between the two lines, because for contact, when you're imagining, like, step to step, the contact, like his body is gonna kind of be in between the steps, right? So the scale of his body should be somewhere in the middle of the two steps that you've plotted. So bad idea to use the guide. Never use guides. I'm gonna scale him down a little bit. Like that. I'd say that's okay. Anyways, it doesn't matter when he's really small. Kind of matters when it is big though. Well, maybe what I could do is, since I've already drawn his path, I could draw his path on top as well. So that gives me a good idea of the scale, kind of. I mean, yeah, sort of. This helps me get my idea of scale. Now he's blue to red. Same thing. Maybe sort of in between blue to red. Don't mind how janky this walk cycle is. I really think about it. Red, blue. We can refine it as we go. This is fine. Now blue to green. Should be about this tall. Oh, sorry. Blue to green. And now green to blue. Notice I'm also following the path of his footfall. Make sure that the contacts match. Green and blue should be about this big. Now it's when it's kind of important that the contact is in the middle of, scale-wise, in the middle to the... Because you really sense it, especially when he gets bigger. I feel like I plotted this turn a bit badly, but it's fine. And last one. This is going to be a really big step. Yeah, this is not a very well planned out walk cycle, because you ideally want the steps. I mean, they can be big, but they may feel like he's taking an extra large stride, especially towards the end. So I would probably add a few more steps to pad it out. But that's the rough idea. Let's see how that looks. Let me turn off the distracting things. Okay, kind of fast. Let's put it on 8s. So ideally you'd want, this last step here feels really big. Ideally you want the stuff to feel less. So maybe you would add more steps in the future. But again, you'd have to add it evenly, so rather than add more steps, it would be like another layer of steps. Which means he would be like taking way smaller steps at the start. Yeah. This is him walking. Yeah, cool. That's basically a walk in perspective plotted out. And you can also do a very similar thing for runs, except that what I generally do for runs is that I plot like an insane amount of steps. So imagine there's imagine if there's 8 steps for a walk. You'd kind of be going like this. And I also tend to do my walks on 8s, as in contact, down, passing, up is 8 frames. So like each is on 2s basically. Sorry, not on 8s. It's on 2s. I tend to do my runs on 4s. I mean, not on 4s, sorry, on 1s. So if one step is walking to me, I tend to be like, okay, then one running step is 2 steps, because he's covering more distance when he's running. What did I do? Sorry, yeah. So I would do that. So in this situation, if you were running, I would probably do, and also running is different, so you probably have to look at this kind of situation. And sorry, drew that badly. So if he's going from the black step, I would have him skip to the green step, and I would have his size match the blue step, the one in between. And then the same, the green to the red step. With the blue step being the guide for size. And then the red step to the green step. I would do that, so that you can feel a difference in the speed and also like the distance. So you can, if you want to especially plot out runs and walks in the same scene, then just plot out a lot of steps and you'll be fine. The good news about this is that it's also like really fast. Like this took what, 15 minutes to do? So it is really easy to go back and alter your walk and change it to the way you like it. Yeah. If you need help with the stairs, let me know. I can help you. I'm gonna go for a run now. Bye bye!